Okay. Hello, everybody. Let's talk about. Oh, what is going on here? Well, got a little message on my. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so let's talk about something that affects many, many, many people, whether you have too much weight or you're at an ideal body weight. So, this definitely can affect people more when they have more body weight on them because there's a lot more stress on the joints. So, this is about low back pain or SI joint pain. So, do you have a pain in the butt or your back? If you do have a pain in your butt or your back, you're going to want to keep listening to the tips on how to get through this. And it's actually not very hard. I personally had two bilateral hip labral tears, and I did a lot of these exercises to strengthen my hip joint, and I didn't have to have surgery. So they're very effective, and they're always used in physical therapy, as I do have a physical therapy assistant background. So this is where I get all of this information from. So let's talk about what is happening in the hip joint when you have low back pain or SI joint pain. So it starts with instability typically of the hip joint. So these are the muscles that are around your hip joint. So you've got your your pelvic bone, which is a little cup, and then you have your femoral head that rides in that socket right there. So this is how your leg moves. It glides like so. So if you think about what happens if your muscles are too tight to start out with, what's going to happen is that space is going to decrease because it's pulling the bones together because they're too tight, and it's going to start to jam that femoral head into the acetabulum. So that's that round spot in our pelvic bone that you see on a lot of skeletons. So that little socket, so the ball and socket joint. So if you start to strengthen, or stretch out the muscles on either side, so this is going to be your hip flexors, your quadriceps, so the muscles in the front, and then your hamstrings, which are the muscles in the back. So they're going to cross your hip joint, which is why they directly affect the positioning of that femur in the socket of the pelvis. So once you can get those a little bit more stretched out, you're going to be able to strengthen them. And don't get me wrong, some people are too flexible there. Some people are hypermobile, which is like me. So strengthening is going to be a more important aspect to it, but you're going to be able to figure this out as you go along. So for strengthening, that's going to be strengthening the hip muscles. So on the front of the hips, back of the hips, and basically the whole hip area. For that, I have an actual sheet that you can see, that you can review. It's my top 5 hip exercises. So if you want those top 5 exercises to strengthen and stabilize the hip joint to reduce low back pain and SI joint pain, comment please or me in the comments, and I will get that over to you. But again, you also may have a flexibility issue. So most people do know how to do the quadriceps stretch, the hip flexor stretch, and the hamstring stretches. Those are crucial when it comes to maintaining joint space and joint integrity. The more those joints are together, the more wear and tear you're going to have on your joints. The more wear and tear you have on the joints, the higher chance you're going to have osteoarthritis. And we definitely don't want that, because the reason I'm talking about this with weight loss is the more pain you have when you're doing movement, the less likely you're going to want to move, right? So you want to be able to get through some of these hurdles. Know that you can get past your back pain and your hip pain by doing some really simple things, as long as you're consistent with it, right? And then you can be back out there and walking farther, maybe running, usually walking. I'm not a big proponent of running because it is really hard on the joints. And a lot of people I work with are not natural runners. So walking at a faster pace, going up and down the stairs, just doing squats and other exercises if you happen to be going to the gym. That is also something you want to be thinking about. Because if you are doing these types of exercises, like you are a gym person and you're going into the gym and you're starting to put a lot of heavy weight onto your body, and you're doing squats and hamstring or deadlifts, you are going to start creating some problems with your joints there too, because you're trying to strengthen something that is not in an optimal position to begin with. So that is why stretching usually is something that is missing from everybody's routine, right? And nobody wants to stretch. Nobody thinks it's important, but it is so important. If you do not stretch, your joints will be compressed and they cannot operate in the way that they have been designed. Okay, so get off my high horse on that. So again, if you want the top 5 exercises to strengthen the hip area to reduce low back pain, go ahead and type me or please down in the comments. And there's also going to be a video, which I'm going to shoot later on this week, that is going to show you how to naturally reset your pelvis. And this addresses like leg length discrepancies. So basically, if one leg is shorter than the other or longer than the other, that's called a leg length discrepancy. Technically, it's a false leg length discrepancy because it is controlled by your muscles and not actually one of your leg bones being short. Okay, not to scare everybody, but this can also very easily be fixed by doing some muscular contractions, which I can show you in the video. That video will be posted in my women's weight loss group, and that is going to be posted in the description down below. That is how you can ask to join, and you'll be able to see that video in there. But if you want the exercises, type me or please. And if you have any other questions about this, let me know. Or if you need clarification on the stretches, I will be happy to do that for you. But again, it's about getting you guys moving more and moving more effectively so you can lose that weight, because I know a lot of people have pain and there is definitely a way around it if you are willing to take a little bit of time for yourself. All right, thank you and have a great afternoon.